Hello, good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television Main News. To present, my name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Our top stories in the news tonight. CHONGWE'S KAMPASA village occupants go back to the land they were forced to vacate. Food lovers market workers in Lusaka are demanding unpaid benefits. Government justifies the establishment of the Economic Financial Crimes Court. In international news, African Union sends poor observers to Nigeria. And in sports news, Liverpool want UEFA to fully and transparently implement report recommendations of a Champions League final.
Are you looking for a prime land where to build your dream house? There is a beautiful corner plot, 50 by 47 meters in State Road area. For viewing and purchasing of the same, call SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. Secure your future by settling in a nice and peaceful area.
Good news, the rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Hello once again, another news in detail. Government has urged the Constitutional Court to dismiss the case of former Kabushi area Member of Parliament Bowman Lusambo, where he is alleging that the establishment of the Economic Financial Crimes Court by the judiciary is illegal. The state has asked the court to dismiss the case because it has no probability of success, as the establishment of the Financial Crimes Court by the judiciary is legally backed by the Constitution. In this case, Mr. Lusambo has petitioned the state, alleging that the Chief Justice, Mumba Malila, breached constitutional provisions for setting up the Specialized Economic Financial Crimes Court that is meant to help quickly recover public stolen assets. He claims that the establishment of the said court is meant to target a group of individuals. More in this report.
The debate surrounding the establishment of the Specialized Economic Financial Crimes Court by the judiciary continues before the Constitutional Court. In the latest submission filed, the state argues that there is no proper case in which criminal proceedings should be arrested using civil proceedings. In this case, former Kabushi area Member of Parliament Bowman Lusambo has petitioned government before the Constitutional Court and cited the Attorney General as the respondent, and charges that the move by the Chief Justice to set up the Economic and Financial Crimes Court administratively at the subordinate court is in breach of Article 121(4) of the Constitution. Mr. Lusambo is facing corruption allegations before the Lusaka magistrate and is being tried under the same specialized court. Claims its creation targets a group of individuals, especially those from the previous administration. However, in its arguments, the state has submitted that the case has no prospect of success, as the establishment of the Financial Crimes Court is legally backed by the Constitution, adding that there are other specialized courts at the subordinate court which have been established administratively for the need and quick court process, including, among others, the Gender-Based Violence, the Road Traffic Safety Agency Fast-Track Court. In its further submission, the state has told the court that no prejudice will be occasioned if the matter that Mr. Lusambo is facing before the subordinate court proceed, as the criminal justice system has its procedure. It has since urged the court to dismiss the application for stay with cost. In 2022, the country's Chief Justice Mumba Malila signed a statutory instrument for the creation of an economic and financial crimes court. The establishment of this specialized fast-track court by the judiciary is meant to help expeditiously recover public stolen assets. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Lusaka Magistrate Court has dismissed an application that was recently filed by Lusaka businessman Harry Findlay, where he was asking the court to order for the release of his passport to allow him seek medical attention abroad for his heart condition. In its ruling Tuesday afternoon, the court says it has no authority to make such an order, given the fact that the passport has not yet been produced as evidence before court. This is in a matter in which Findlay is facing 2 counts of holding more than 1 passport and being in possession of endorsements of forged immigration stamps. More in this report.
His plea to have the Lusaka's Magistrate Court order for the release of his passport to enable him travel abroad for his treatment has been declined. Last week, Lusaka businessman Harry Findlay, who is also former President Edgar Lungu's associate, made an application before Magistrate Sylvia Munyinya through his lawyers requesting the court to order for the release of his passport to facilitate for his travel abroad for medical treatment. Mr. Findlay's lawyers had submitted that the passport can either be released on temporary or permanent basis because his heart needs to undergo surgery aimed at restoring circulation of blood. According to his lawyer's further submission, he is unwell and currently placed on 4 days bed rest, but still cannot rest out of respect and high regards to the court and its procedures. However, delivering a ruling this morning, Tuesday, the 14th of February 2023, Magistrate Munyinya says she has no authority to make such a directive, considering the fact that the passport is not in custody of the court and has not yet been issued as an exhibit. This is in a matter in which the state accuses Mr. Findlay of acquiring a Zambian passport on the 3rd of October 2022, purporting to have lost the one he had obtained earlier. He is also accused of being in possession of endorsement of forged immigration stamps for Mwami Immigration Border Control in his passport, purporting that it was officially endorsed when in fact not. The matter comes up on the 20th of February 2023 for continuation of trial. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Residents of CHONGWE'S KAMPASA village have started moving back into the land that they were allegedly forced to vacate by their Member of Parliament, Sylvia Masebo, as their current space can no longer accommodate them. Speaking to Camnet News, the residents have lamented that the land in question originally belonged to them after a white settler identified as Ransburg Michael Arnolds Johnson, who lived there, was deported by the government, hence causing wrangles over its ownership for some time. They have alleged that for over 10 years, Ms. Masebo has been conniving with some individuals to claim the land and commercialize it. More in this report.
KAMPASA is a village in Chongwe district hosting a population of over 2,000 families on a 20-hectare space. The village has been in existence from the period before Zambia's independence and was owned by a white settler identified as Ransburg Michael Arnolds Johnson. However, after the deportation of the then owner, Mr. Arnolds Johnson, in 1976, a man identified as Galonia resided on the land and claimed part of it while conducting farming activities as alleged by the residents of KAMPASA village, until some years later when he died. They have further explained that with Galonia's son Michael on the land after his father's death, the residents lived together as Michael took over his father's farm, leaving 168 hectares for the residents, which in the periods between 2010 and 2012 is alleged to have been taken away from them by Chongwe Member of Parliament Sylvia Masebo and alleged partner identified as Lictor, whom, as explained by residents, was Michael, Galonia's son's caretaker.
Tinangala pano pantawi itali ineneza uchoka pano kuskuru kwenda kasisi nakulira ku area kuno nazimai kapamu gaone konkalamba zone kampasaidi zakulira pano so nadaba kumukutika konkhala madeza kumbuyo chaka mungwerere kukafika ku phase 1 kuja kuchoka kuno kwenda ku ZNS kuja palupiri papenzo khala wakapokola kuja kwezo kambati mabroko chanchanchani yose ze area ya muntu mozi so manje paka mwapato antu akuno nje tinalenga sota na malo winanga ya guli
2012 fika mu 2013 wanatiletera bakapokola kuno ife benango tilala all my leaders balino kampasa banatigwira tinendo kasira 1 week ku police na mafingerprints yathu yali kwamene kuja ulu ni lufyengo lwa honorable Sylvia Masebo ndiwo amene anakwelesa bakapokola kuno chifuka cho konda ndarama.
They further alleged that Ms. Masebo ordered officials from the Zambia Wildlife Authority ZAWA to evacuate the settlers from their land, leaving them to squat on their current space with dilapidated structures which can no longer accommodate them as their population has continued to increase from 450 to over 2,000 families.
Pamene pano pa area chinadaba chewaona le Sylvia Masebo kwe sangain na vantu minutu hata visi hata nuko huko ise kwatu ni kuno pitana taona tibaleka kuno wapezeka kuno 2010 vanabwela na ndani Lictor hapo atinda bokuzani wantu wakampasa kuti malo ni ya mwine wake mzungu atoka kuti mzungu.
Meanwhile, Chongwe District's Treasurer for the United Party for National Development, UPND, Oliver Kubanja, has ordered the people of Kampasa to reclaim their land and build safe structures on the land, unlike their dilapidated structures, as the land in mention belongs to them.
Now, pame wanakuvotela vantu. Even pame unabwela mkulira kuno Kampasa, mukulira kuno Kampasa ati ni voteleni ine vonse vijawa kudara so kuchiteko vintu vinango but kudapwa libwelelapo chabe then nga chabwela pati kuchinja nzeru manje wamba usebezesa Lictor no usebezesa wa polisi so ati wa polisi wabwela watugwiri ifwe twagabana kudala twangena kudala vantu vamanga and everything ini landi chabe mzaka isia mama.
Ms. Masebo, however, by broadcast time indicated that she was held up and could not react to the allegations made by the people. Beatrice Chawaya, Camnet News, Chongwe.
11 former employees of one of the major chain stores, Food Lovers Market, located at Levy Shopping Mall in Lusaka, are demanding benefits from the store, stating that they worked from 2016 until December 2022 when they resigned, but that they have been denied any benefits. Speaking to Camnet News, representative of the group, Isaac Daka, says the employees are owed varying amounts of money, such as 20,000 kwacha, and adding that visits to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security have not yielded any desirable results. Meanwhile, Food Lovers Levy Mall representative Chantel Tajati says the contracts of the employees had no such provision. More in report.
Workers in the food and merchandise business in Lusaka have for long been airing their grievances about their conditions of service, ranging from poor pay and long working hours. The latest complainants are former workers of Food Lovers Market located at Levy Shopping Mall in Lusaka, stating that the store has not paid them their due benefits after they tendered in the resignation in December 2022. The former workers explained that after failing to reach an agreement with the chain store, they took to the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, adding that through the Office of the Assistant Labour Commissioner, the chain store was then directed to make the said payments. Isaac Daka, one of the affected workers, explains that after the payout, 11 were left out and have since been denied any money, with the company stating that it was not supposed to make any payout in the first place.
Government, yes, New Dawn government, it tends because we have been going up and down, labor after union after union. And the directive was given by the Labour Assistant Commissioner. So we want this government to come in and help us so that we get what belongs to us.
Another former employee, Fresha Muoni, says the non-payment to the 11 has incapacitated them from providing for their families.
Tunaenda ku Ministry of Labor to attend zile kupari kesi ya food lovers wanatumiza tiende ku court. Court kulianza ku kesi inangu ya mu 2015 is still pending until now.
Meanwhile, Chain Store representative Chantel Tajati says that contracts have no provision for such benefits.
Maybe you should ask them to read their contracts or their union agreement.
The affected workers say they now feel that they have reached a dead end and have urged the Ministry of Labour and Social Security to conduct an inspection on operations at the Chain Store. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A 17-year-old girl of Lusaka, Lesedi Mwinga, has challenged her fellow youths to start identifying projects they can support from a young age in order to add value to the country. Ms. Mwinga says, as an example, she has been serving money from her parents, which she has used to support a grade 7 class at Kafwa Drop-In Center for Orphans and Vulnerable Children in Lusaka to show love to the children on Valentine's Day, indicating that the lack of funds should not be a limiting factor. She was speaking at the said orphanage Tuesday morning when she went to give out books, mathematical sets and sanitary towels to a grade 7 class. More in this report. I apologize for the lack of audio in that clip. The ruling United Party for National Development Chairman for Social Security, Mono Mapani, says President Hakainde Hichilema is keen to improve the country's democratic credentials, as seen in the progress toward the Amendment Bill of Public Order Act, Chapter 113, which is now being called the Public Gatherings Bill. Recently, the Zambia Law Development Commission handed over the review of the Draft Amendment Bill Public Order Act Chapter 113 of Zambia and the proposed Draft Public Gatherings Bill to the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security. The proposed Public Gatherings Bill seeks to repeal and replace the controversial Public Order Act, which has been cited in the past for giving too much power to the police to suppress freedom of assembly and association. Mr. Mapani, who is also Namwala Member of Parliament, says this will help citizens of this country to have the freedom of assembly without being stopped by the Zambia police, as was the case during the previous regime.
Under the PF regime, we saw it first. I remember very well when Mr. Mwila was the Home Affairs Minister, we were all told to make submissions so that the Public Order Act could be repealed through his office. And we saw Zambians, and I personally did that, so that this same instrument could be repealed. But unfortunately, the usual way of doing things under the PF, nothing was done. And even after 2016 elections, general elections, we still saw PF fidgeting with the same instrument. Now this time around, they had told us to actually make submissions through the means of justice, which actually never happened. This is typical of PF. These were colleagues who were given the mandate by the people of Zambia, but had no time whatsoever to adhere or to save the interest of the citizens. But in less than 2 years, the new Dawn government under His Excellency, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, has been in power. We have seen actually movements, and now we are yet to see the bill in the next few weeks to get into Parliament. This is what we call seriousness. This is what we call leadership. And there is no one now under the PF regime, the previous regime, who can actually stand and challenge us.
Citizens First Party President Harry Kalaba has challenged President Hakainde Hichilema to quickly move into State House, stating that the current movements between the community house in Lukasama area and State House are consuming a lot of fuel. Speaking when he appeared on National Matters program on Camnet TV Monday evening, Mr. Kalaba adds that the budget that is being used to pay the 2 battalions guarding the president at State House and also at Community House, coupled with the daily fuel costs, will within a 5-year period exceed 14 million kwacha, the same amount estimated to be needed in the renovations of State House before the president can move in. The CF president adds that moving into State House will also ensure that the head of state has maximum security at State House, and as State House is located right opposite Arakan Barracks for a purpose.
And the president should be the first custodian of celebrating our heritage. Now, when we have a president who does things as he just wants, this is government. It has got its own culture. Can you fit in that culture? He's trying to create his own things. Today, as we are speaking, the president had refused that he will not use any government money to uplift his house or to do anything. Local government ministry advertised the tender, and I think they've already done the road. Advertised the tender for his place there to do a road at his community house. But if that is not...
That one we can forgo, President, because a road, if we are putting roads in IBEX, we are putting roads where the president is, and
there is
chosen
no
to be
road.
there
is no road this new Dawn has done in Lusaka, even to mend the potholes. The only road they have done is that same road where President Hakainde Hichilema is staying. And they advertised it, and yet he had said they do not want him to spend any money for government. They've spent government money on that project. Now, it is things like that. They are recreating things. They are doing a helipad at his residence. They are also, ZESCO has put a substation.
Let's not go into details.
No, I'm giving those details because
of this house, what they are doing and what...
it is because there is no need to put a substation because there's a powerful station already for ZESCO at State House. There is the whole tank of water by water and sewerage put there to service State House. All facilities have been put there at State House to service the head of state.
The former ruling Patriotic Front has criticized the ruling United Party for National Development UPND alliance government led by President Hakainde Hichilema for failing to address the high cost of living, describing it as a failed regime. Party Deputy Media Director Edwin Lifwakelo has charged that President Hakainde Hichilema is proving to be indecisive in his leadership and is taking the country on a bumpy ride instead of the promised land. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Lifwakelo says the president is going against his promise of reducing the high cost of living among Zambians as he promised in 2021. Mr. Lifwakelo charges that the president is just talking and no action to reduce the cost of living facing the majority poor Zambians. He says the president is very indecisive and inconsistent in decision-making.
Inflation and even GDP, which has increased by 1%, 2%, and then you want to acknowledge that this government has worked because of that and because they have employed the teachers. The teachers are not the only people that need employment, neither do nurses. Being the only sector of society that requires employment, everybody requires employment. So at the end of the day, the policies of the UPND government are loop-sided. Okay, they are extremely artificial, and they are extremely, what you would call, for a lack of a better term, exotic to a larger extent, that they do not measure with the reality on the ground. And this is the reason why we have found ourselves here. So for once, President Againde spend more time to deal with the domestic challenges that we are currently facing than finding himself on planes every week. He's busy, and this is why now people are now calling President that he's a Marco Polo, he's a Vasco da Gama, because he's forever jumping on plane. And those days when Lungu would travel, and what was the notion from the president? That Lungu loves traveling and he's forever on planes. Now, ndege yawama wa president Againde chisema yawama masiti ande. Wankareko pass. Ndege nzabwino is yes quite alright, but at the end of the day, not at the expense of Zambians.
A 17-year-old girl of Lusaka, Lesedi Mwinga, has challenged her fellow youths to start identifying projects they can support from a young age in order to add value to the country. Ms. Mwinga says, as an example, she has been saving money from her parents, which she has used to support a grade 7 class at Kafwa Drop-In Center for Orphans and Vulnerable Children in Lusaka to show love to the children on Valentine's Day, indicating that the lack of funds should not be a limiting factor. She was speaking at the Said Orphanage Tuesday morning when she went to give out books, mathematical sets and sanitary towels to a grade 7 class. More in this report.
While social media has been awash with messages of people buying expensive gifts for their loved ones on Valentine's Day, this 17-year-old girl, Lesedi Mwinga, pursuing an international baccalaureate diploma at Pesalazi Learning Center, celebrated the day in a different way by gifting some orphans in Lusaka with school material and sanitary wear. Speaking to a grade 7 class at Kafwa Drop-In Center for Orphans and Vulnerable Children in Lusaka, where she went to give out mathematical sets, books, sanitary wear, as well as some food items, Ms. Mwinga also took time to motivate the children, urging them to work hard in order to achieve their dreams and contribute to the country's development. The youth says all this has been done using her own funding, as she has been saving money from her parents with an aim of helping the less privileged in society.
So I was asking whether you guys have thought about what you want to be when you grow up. Yes. So whenever you wake up in the morning and you think about school and your studies, you should drive towards achieving what you want to achieve. So if you're telling yourself that you want to be a doctor, you can't just become a doctor out of nowhere. You have to work hard, you have to study, and you have to study very hard. And again, at the same time, it's not only about education and school, it's also about doing things at home. In terms of working at home, like doing chores, you help your family members, you sweep, you also play some games, whether it's football, netball, basketball, you do those things so that you can be balanced. I believe in being balanced.
Meanwhile, pupils at the school, while indicating their challenges, state that the books and mathematical sets will positively contribute to their learning.
This one, he's helped me to mathematics, everyone. And this book, he's helped me to read, everyone. And this part, he helped me like a girl.
This set is helped me to math, and the book is helped me to study.
Deborah Neva, a teacher at the center, has therefore challenged other well-wishers to emulate the gesture.
So what we do here, we've got 205 children. Yeah, so this is a drop-in center for orphans and vulnerables. And also we've got a feeding program for those that are not able to have a meal from where they come from. Yeah, so we're just grateful for the help that was rendered today. And also are looking forward to, for other people to come in and help these vulnerable children. For there are some who are not able to provide everything. So like for those mathematical sets that have been donated today, we are grateful because they will surely go a long way and they'll also help us as teachers. Our job will be made easier.
A challenge has been set for now to other youths and citizens in general to support vulnerable people with whatever little they may afford. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
You're watching Camnet Television Main News. We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Are you looking for a prime land where to build your dream house? There is a beautiful corner plot, 50 by 47 meters in State Road area. For viewing and purchasing of the same, call SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. Secure your future by settling in a nice and peaceful area.
Welcome back. We continue with the news. The Great North Credit and the Miners, Technicians, Artisans and Allied Workers Union of Zambia, MTAWUZ, have signed an agreement to help the union members have access to cheap financing regardless of their monthly income. MTAWUZ President Francis Kasamika says most of their members have been having challenges in accessing cheap financing because most of them do not meet the requirements needed by the banks to have access to financing. Mr. Kasamika says access to cheap financing will help the members access capital to invest responsibly in either business or properties. Meanwhile, Great North Credit Chief Executive Officer Jimmy Perry says access to cheap financing has continued to be a challenge for most Zambians, especially for those in the mining sector and those in the outskirts of Lusaka.
Access to cheap financing for some formal and informal employees has been a great challenge. To bridge the gap, the Great North Credit and the Miners, Technicians, Artisans and Allied Workers Union of Zambia, MTAWUZ, have signed a memorandum of understanding to allow its members have access to cheap financing with low interest levels. MTAWUZ President Francis Kasamika is happy to see the development and is hopeful that those who will have access to the finances will put them to good use.
It's exciting for our members and employees to finally have access to cheaper and cheap financing regardless of their monthly income. It is important for this country like Zambia to emphasize the importance of local investment in development. This is the case as it is surely is. Then lending institutions with low lending rates such as Great North Credit are critical in achieving developmental growth.
Meanwhile, Great North Credit Chief Executive Officer Jimmy Perry says his organization is alive to the fact that some or majority miners and miners technicians have since time immemorial been perceived by society to lack financial discipline because of what is termed as reckless spending habit, which others may describe as big buyer mentality.
Ladies and gentlemen, Great North Credit is alive to the fact that some or majority miners and mine technicians have since time immemorial been perceived by society to lack financial discipline because of what is termed as reckless spending habits, which others may describe as big buyer mentality. Based on this background, this agreement will enable Great North Credit offer financial discipline and literacy education to eligible and members falling under TAUs as a union at any given opportunity when called upon as an institution.
Financial discipline is not only important for those running businesses, but for individuals as well in their day-to-day lives. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Bank of Zambia has started the process of consolidating and validating claims by depositors of Destiny Helpers International DHI for the purposes of paying back affected depositors. In a joint statement issued by the Bank of Zambia and the Drug Enforcement Commission, the recoveries of both physical cash and proceeds from the sale of DHI properties will determine the proportion of the payment that each depositor will receive. The central bank says the exercise is being undertaken in conjunction with the Drug Enforcement Commission and is pursuant to the successful prosecution of DHI by the DEC, which resulted in the forfeiture of properties suspected to be proceeds of crime. The bank has since advised members of the public to desist from participating in money circulation schemes such as Ponzi and pyramid schemes, as they are illegal. Over 200 people were last year scammed over 1 million kwacha by Destiny Helpers, who promised that they would get 100% interest from the money which they were being told to invest. His Royal Highness Senior Chief Mwata Kazembe of the Lunda people of Luapula Province has warned government against being complacent of achievements made so far. Speaking when Minister of Green Economy and Environment Engineer Collins Nzovu and his team paid a courtesy call on him at his palace in Mwansabomwe district, Chief Mwata Kazembe says most of the forestry in the area has depleted because the former government used to aimlessly cut down trees. The traditional leader says government must find alternative means of planting trees in the depleted forestry in order to save the environment. And Engineer Nzovu says there is need to sensitize the people not only in Luapula but across the country on the dangers of cutting down trees.
You recall, Your Royal Highness, also that there's a forest called Kanyengo Forest. The Kanyengo Forest is one also where we are working with funding on Tralad, and obviously I wanted to bring it to your attention because I think they were working with the sub-chief there. Your Royal Highness, our people are occupying the low-lying areas as well. We need to now to start sensitizing our people, not only here but throughout the country, that those who live in low-lying areas are much more prone, obviously, to flooding. But with climate change, the intensity, frequency of flooding is increasing. So we need to see how some of them will obviously shift to higher ground.
Can we please, as a government, find alternative? We had two forests here, Kapweshi Forest and Imberesh Forest. But the government was just cutting trees without plowing back. And all the trees are now depleted. Can we get back to the replanting?
We'll take a second and final break. Join us after the break for international and sports news.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Are you looking for a prime land where to build your dream house? There is a beautiful corner plot, 50 by 47 meters in State Road area. For viewing and purchasing of the same, call SGK Property Company on 0966 610755 or 0762 166018. Secure your future by settling in a nice and peaceful area.
Welcome back. And now in foreign news, the African Union Commission announced Tuesday that it will be sending a 90-strong observer mission to Nigeria for this month's elections. Africa's most populous country goes to the polls on February 25, but has been plunged into crisis in the run-up to the vote with dire shortage of cash and fuel. The African Union Election Observation Mission is being headed by former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, who helped broker a deal to end 2 years of war in northern Ethiopia and is meditating in the conflict in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. The AU said the objective of the mission were to provide an accurate and impartial assessment of the electoral process, offer recommendations for any improvement in future polls, and to demonstrate AU support towards consolidation of democracy, peace, stability, and development in Nigeria. Here's a roundup of international news for more.
The African Union announced Tuesday that it will be sending a 90-strong observer mission to Nigeria for this month's elections. Africa's most populous country goes to the polls on February 25th, but has been plunged into a crisis in the run-up to the vote with dire shortages of cash and fuel. Former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta will head the African Union Election Observation Mission. The AU said the objectives of the mission were to provide an accurate and impartial assessment of the electoral process, offer recommendations for any improvement in future polls, and to demonstrate AU support towards the consolidation of democracy, peace, stability, and development in Nigeria. Nearly 100 million people will vote to choose the successor to President Muhammadu Buhari, who steps down after 2 terms as Nigeria struggles with widespread insecurity and economic malaise. People's Development Party's Atiku Abubakar, All Progressives Congress's Bola Tinubu, and Peter Obi of the Labour Party are the presidential frontrunners.
Residents of the Ivorian village of Kpo-Kahankro are in shock. Since December, over 15 mysterious deaths have plunged the community into despair. Dorothée lost her granddaughter. Authorities say they found traces of a deadly bacterium on the deceased. There were 2 children in the resuscitation room. At about 2 o'clock, a little girl died. And my little girl died around 3 o'clock. At present, the body is still in the morgue. The burial has not yet taken place. I haven't seen her since that day. We were barred from seeing them. Some are blaming witchcraft and accusing a prominent villager. Clostridium, a common but deadly bacterium, was found both on the so-called object of witchcraft and on corpses that authorities tested. It can cause botulism, which provokes vomiting and muscle paralysis. Of course, we're still afraid, because the first series of deaths began on December 2. 6 people were killed. It let up for, let's say, a month, and then it started again. The men accused of installing the object and the owner of the land where the fetish was set were condemned to 5 years in prison on February 9 for disorderly conduct and quackery. The fetish was then moved out of the village. The local chief is not completely reassured, though. It's a mystical thing. It's a wind-driven thing. When it's wind-driven, you can't see it. So it's a mystical thing. It can surround the whole village. According to health authorities, 16 died, but villagers say 21 suffered untimely deaths, including 18 children. Peace of mind has yet to return to the village in central Ivory Coast.
Senegal has sent a 30-member search and rescue team to Turkey to support disaster relief efforts after a devastating quake, which has been described as the disaster of the century. The men belonging to the Senegalese Fire Brigade departed from Dakar's Blaise Diagne International Airport on Monday. The team will land in Adana before proceeding to the disaster area. Indeed, we are not used to this kind of temperature. But as you know, as a firefighter, it is a commitment, and we are committed, as our motto says, to save or perish. All our efforts go in the direction of saving lives. The firefighters will deploy to Hate, where they will participate in search and rescue operations there. While the chances of finding survivors are almost nil, rescue workers are still sifting through the rubble for any signs of life. The death toll from last week's disaster has topped 35,000 in both Turkey and Syria.
It's now time for sports news. In our sports news tonight, Liverpool want UEFA to fully and transparently fulfill recommendations in an independent report on the events before last season's Champions League final in Paris. Fans were penned in and tear-gassed outside Stade de France at the game against Real Madrid on 28th of May 2022. The report ruled UEFA bore primary responsibility for the chaotic scenes, adding it was remarkable no one died. Liverpool said action must be taken to ensure there are no more near misses. The club added the fundamental safety failings had exacerbated the suffering of the families, friends and survivors of the 1989 Hillsborough disaster. The report, commissioned by UEFA 3 days after the final, which Liverpool lost 1-0, made 21 recommendations. The recommendations include using only digital tickets and UEFA ensuring its own safety and security unit has primary responsibility for the Champions League final operations. It also warned French authorities that this should be a wake-up call before it hosts the 2023 Rugby World Cup and 2024 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Liverpool MP Ian Byrne has written to French President Emmanuel Macron demanding nothing short of a full public apology. And Camnet television news, the headlines once again. CHONGWE'S KAMPASA village occupants go back to the land they were forced to vacate. Food lovers market workers in Lusaka are demanding unpaid benefits. Government justifies the establishment of the Economic Financial Crimes Court. In international news, African Union sends poll observers to Nigeria. And in sports news, Liverpool want UEFA to fully and transparently implement report recommendations of a Champions League final. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Romans 12, verse 9. Love must be sincere. Hate what is evil. Cling to what is good. Thank you once again for watching Camnet Television News. My name is Jeffrey Siambo. Bye-bye.